Welcome as we kick off another week. Appreciate you joining me for Just the Truth as we are 19 days from the South Carolina presidential primary. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Senate negotiators yesterday released a text of a much-anticipated border deal that lawmakers have been working on with the White House since about December or so. And they claim that it will incorporate significant reforms, including a crackdown on asylum and parole. We shall see. Meanwhile, New York City is launching a $53 million program providing prepaid debit cards for illegal immigrants. Senator Lindsey Graham ridiculed President Biden's foreign policy, saying that the only ones hit in the retaliatory attacks by American forces were idiots. And in an exclusive interview on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures, President Trump revealed criteria for his running mate. While he was talking with Maria Bartiromo, he dropped a couple of names of potential running mates. Is he maybe giving us just a little clue as to who his running mate will be? And Nikki Haley's appearance on Saturday Night Live has sparked a backlash on social media. Did you see it? Or are you like me? You can't stay up that late on a Saturday night.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
You can join today's conversation on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can send me your emails as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. Let's start with Senate negotiators yesterday who released the text of the much-anticipated border deal that lawmakers have been working on literally since back in December. The talks have been ongoing with a bipartisan group of primarily senators, Senator James Lankford, Kirsten Sinema, Chris Murphy, and they are trying to strike a deal with the White House to fix the crisis at the southern border. Suddenly, in an election year, this has become real important to Joe Biden and the Democrats. The agreement holds the potential to allocate $60 billion to Ukraine, $14 billion to Israel, yet its passage through the House appears doubtful, according to House Republicans. They've deemed the bill a non-starter unless it incorporates essential components from their H.R. 2 bill, which is the House GOP border bill. The Senate Democrats have pretty much just dismissed H.R. 2, so it's doubtful that it'll make any progress without the House signing on. Meanwhile, Speaker Johnson vowed to put $17.6 billion in emergency funding on the House floor next week to give Israel assistance, and other House GOP leaders say that they will make that a priority. Texas Congressman Randy Weber says that the House is not expected to approve the Senate bill as it stands now.
What we're anticipating, Mike, isn't good. If what we're hearing is correct, and we'll get the language and we'll look at it. And as you may know, I served 4 years in the Texas House. My second term, I was the vice chairman of the Borders Committee. Back then, it was bad then, it's worse now. If we get that language, and what we're hearing is they're going to allow 5,000 illegals a day, it's DOA in my view.
All right. Well, you're a Texas lawmaker. Are you comfortable waiting until next year when perhaps there's a Republican in the White House?
Well, no, we shouldn't have to. Governor Abbott has it exactly correct. We have the right to defend our border. The federal government has failed miserably. I appreciated Jeff Paul being down Eagle Pass and the fact that he said, according to the figures, the crossings are now 76% down. Of course they are. Texas, and they're going to other states. Texas is doing something to defend ourselves, and kudos to Greg Abbott. He ought to tell Joe Biden that Joe Biden has failed miserably. We're going to do what it takes. We don't care what the federal government says.
Again, Texas Congressman Randy Weber. In the Biden administration's original supplemental request, officials sought over $100 billion in funding, which would include $14 billion for the southern border. Pause there for just a minute and think about that. So we're talking about $100 billion in funding that the Biden administration is asking for, $14 billion for our southern border, which is the biggest issue, the most important issue most Americans believe we're facing today. Yet the president is proposing $60 billion to go to Ukraine. What's wrong with those priorities? What am I missing here? Part of the negotiating on the Republican side is they're demanding limits on illegal releases into the interior, including the use of parole, and negotiators have been attempting to find a compromise between the two. Speaker Johnson said, quote, while the Senate appears poised to finally release the text of their supplemental package after months of behind closed-door negotiations, their leadership is aware that by failing to include the House in their negotiations, they have eliminated the ability for swift consideration of any legislation. Yesterday's proposed legislation would total just over $118 billion. That would include 50,000 new visas. The proposal, again, took months to negotiate, is supposedly aimed at gaining control of an asylum system that has been overwhelmed by historic numbers of illegals coming to the border over the past couple of years, 3 years or so since Joe Biden has been in office. The bill proposes an overhaul to the system with tougher and quicker enforcement measures. If the number of illegal border crossings reaches above 5,000 daily for a 5-day average, this according to their plan, an expulsion authority would automatically kick in so that illegals are sent back to Mexico without an opportunity to make an asylum claim. If the number reaches 4,000, presidential administrations would have the option of using the expulsion authority. Biden, referencing that authority, has said that he would use it, quote, to shut down the border as soon as the bill is signed into law. He's quick to offer that because he wants the money to send to Ukraine. He wants the $60 billion to Ukraine. He cares nothing about the border, really. But he's afraid that his money being sent to Ukraine is going to be held up. According to the Senate text, the bill would allot $20 billion to immigration enforcement, including the hiring of thousands of new officers who would evaluate asylum claims, as well as hundreds of Border Patrol agents. Some of that money would go to shelters and services in cities across the U.S. that are struggling to keep up because of the influx of illegals. Illegals who seek asylum, which provides protection for people facing persecution in their home countries, could face a tougher and faster process to having their claim evaluated, which is how it should be. If they come here or try to come here illegally, they shouldn't get a second chance. The standard in initial interviews, known as credible fear screenings, would be raised. Many would receive those interviews within days of arriving at the border rather than weeks or months as it's taking now. Final decisions on their asylum claims, we're told, would happen within months rather than the often years. We're hearing stories of some of them coming in today, and they're giving a report back date 2-3 years down the road. On the agreement, Biden said there's more work to be done to get it over the finish line. Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona said the bipartisan border security package fixes the border crisis. She says now senators must make a decision, pass our package and solve the crisis, or accept the status quo, do nothing, and keep playing politics while our system breaks and our communities continue to suffer. She said, I choose to secure the border, protect Arizona border communities, fix our broken system, and finally solve this crisis. Senator James Langford, he's the Republican from Oklahoma, said Americans were tired of the chaos and abuse at our border. He said, I'm happy to announce we have finally finished a strong bill to add to the supplemental funding bill. Though most members of the Senate have already been briefed on the contents of the bill, the final text will be distributed to members of the Senate soon and posted online within a day. And I would assume that we all can read it at that point. Senator Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader, blamed the border crisis, of course, on the Biden administration. He says it's time to force President Biden to start cleaning up his mess and equip future leaders with a system that works and new emergency tools to restore order. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said a vote on the package could come as early as Wednesday of this week. Let's hope so. Meanwhile, illegal immigrants in the Big Apple in New York City will soon start receiving prepaid debit cards that they must pledge to use only to buy food, according to New York City records and media reports. Records indicate that New York City has awarded a $53 million contract to a company called Mobility Capital Finance. Mocafy is how they're pronouncing it. This would create and distribute the prepaid cards under the program. Mocafy will begin delivering the cards to the Roosevelt Hotel, and you may recall that the Roosevelt is the first touch point, is the first place that these illegals are going now. They've literally taken over this historic hotel for the illegals to stay in. The first to receive the cards, we're told, would be families with children under the care of New York City's Housing Preservation and Development Agency. Mocafy looks forward to partnering with New York City to disperse funds for asylum seekers to purchase fresh, hot food, Mocafy CEO and founder Woel Coxum said. Now, who believes that if you hand an illegal if you hand them a prepaid debit card, and we're not seeing any numbers as far as what the amount will be on each card. We're just given an overall number that $53 million will be set aside to give to illegals. So let's say they get $500 and they're told, but you can only buy food with that. Do you think they're going to abide by that? Do you think someone who has sneaked across our border, who has come here illegally, is going to acknowledge the fact that you're going to give them a card, but you can only buy food with it? And do you think the merchants who are accepting that card is going to care what they're buying with it? New York City Councilman Joe Borelli has been critical of the program, telling Fox 5 New York that it's providing illegal immigrants with services on the taxpayer dime. Well, of course it is, there, Councilman. Who do you think's paying for it? It comes at a time when taxpayers in New York City face sharp cuts to services like policing and education because the city has had to divert money to cover expenses associated with the influx of illegal immigrants. Well, welcome to the sanctuary city status that you guys decided that you wanted. You chose to be a sanctuary city. Now you're going to have to pay it. You're going to have to pay for it. The mayor's office said that the program will start by providing the prepaid cards to 500 families with restrictions on how they can spend the money. Yeah. Talk about restrictions. Recipients will have to sign an affidavit promising to spend the money on cards only on food and baby supplies. They'll face removal from the program if they do otherwise. Yeah, that affidavit's going to really mean a lot to them. According to the New York Post, the size of the family will affect the amount provided on the prepaid cards. A family of 4 could get somewhere in the $1,000 range, according to the Post. Neither the HPD nor Mayor Eric Adams' office would confirm the details of the program. However, a spokesperson for the mayor's office told the New York Post the program will make it easier for qualifying families to get the food of their choice and will save the city money. Kayla Mamalak, the mayor's spokesperson, said not only will this provide families with the ability to purchase fresh food for their culturally relevant diets and the baby supplies of their choosing, but the pilot program is expected to save New York City more than $600,000 a month, or more than $7.2 million annually. It comes at a time when New York City has faced illegal immigration crisis of epic proportions. Mayor Adams said back in December that more than 157,000 illegals have arrived at the city's door since last year. That's 1.5 size the city of Albany, the capital of New York. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can send your comments to the Freedom to the Firmin Ford text line, Firmin Ford text line. You can also send me a quick email, joe@joeyhudson.com, or leave me a voice message as well. I'm sorry, but I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for New York City. I feel for the people who don't have a say in it. But for the leaders, for Mayor Adams whining and complaining because it's hurting his city financially, hey, again, you can shut down your city's policies overnight. You don't have to be a sanctuary city. You choose to be a sanctuary city. Senator Lindsey Graham was kind of making fun of, was ridiculing, if you will, President Joe Biden's foreign policy yesterday, saying that the only ones hit in retaliatory attacks by American forces were idiots. Portions of today's show made possible by PhD weight loss and nutrition. I've been telling you about my journey with PhD weight loss and nutrition since I met Dr. Ashley Lucas and her great team in the Greenville office over 3 years ago. And it has literally changed my life. I lost 30 pounds, and I've been able to maintain that weight loss for those 3.5 years. Because it's not a diet. It's not a fad diet. They teach you about food, your relationship with food, what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. Because this program, founded by Dr. Ashley Lucas, is based on the science of nutrition and what your body needs. And they'll create a program just for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all. They talk with you. They talk with you about your dietary needs, what the foods that you like, and they come up with a plan just for you. Call them today. Set up your initial consultation, 864-252-4925, 864-252-4925. Set up your appointment, and within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll be texting me or calling me saying, Joey, I'm glad you introduced me to this program because I've lost 10 pounds, I've lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds or more. I've had listeners who have lost 135 pounds. It'll change your life. 864-252-4925. Find them online at myphdweightloss.com. myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. First National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan yesterday said that American forces struck more than fools who failed to evacuate before the attack started. Mr. Sullivan told NBC the military had no confirmation of any civilian casualties from recent days' attacks and was investigating the outcome. Asked if the Biden administration ruled out strikes inside Iran, Mr. Sullivan told NBC he would not announce the targets ruled in or out for any future attacks. The U.S. and Britain hit 36 Houthi targets in Yemen on Saturday, following an air assault in Iraq and Syria on Friday, as part of an onslaught meant to curb Iran-backed groups attacking American interests. Appeared on Fox News Sunday yesterday, Admiral John Kirby, coordinator for strategic communications at the National Security Council in the White House, says that Biden's delay in retaliating was the right move for our country based on what needed to be done.
Joining us now, Admiral John Kirby, National Security Council coordinator for strategic communications. Welcome back. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Shannon. Thank you.
Okay, before the strikes even started on Friday, you know there were critics who talked about the delay. 1 week ago today, those 3 soldiers were lost. From the Wall Street Journal editorial board, militia leaders can't say they weren't warned, and if any of them were still around the target areas, they are the world's dumbest terrorists. Was it too much of a delay?
2 thoughts there. First, it's not like we held back any notification that we were going to respond if our troops were attacked. I mean, the president's been clear. We will respond. So it's not as if prior to the attack last weekend that the militia groups and the IRGC and folks in Tehran didn't know that we were going to take seriously any attack on our troops or on our facilities. And then with the specific attack that we struck, the targets we struck on Friday night, I mean, you want to do this in a deliberate way. You want to do it. You want to carefully select your targets. You want to make sure that that all the parameters are in place to have good effects, including factoring in the weather. I mean, these attacks were using manned aircraft. You want to make sure your pilots can get in and get out safely. So there was a lot of planning that went into that. Again, the Pentagon believes we had good effect, that we hit what we were aiming at.
Now, Senator Lindsey Graham disagrees, saying that the U.S. national security is in a free-for-all because America's enemies are not intimidated by Mr. Biden, that America's enemies are not afraid of us.
Well, the Admiral's a good man. I think he does a good job telling a story that's hard to tell. Our national security is in free fall. Morgan Ortega's made a very good point. Look at the record for the last 3 years. This is a symptom of a greater problem. We withdrew from Afghanistan. The Taliban took over in 2021. Showing weakness, Putin invades Ukraine in 2022. In 2023, Hamas attacks Israel, killing more Jews than any time since the Holocaust. 2024, we're having Americans killed by Iranian proxies in the Mideast. They're pushing us all over the place. Our national security is in free fall. Here's what works. Hit something they value. Soleimani was killed with a single strike. He was their General Patton and Eisenhower. There was nothing left but a smoldering car and a ring finger. It worked. They got back in a box.
But wait a minute, just real quickly there, because the Admiral noted there were attacks on U.S. interests after that.
Yeah, but they are in a box. I don't remember it like this. 160 attacks. We killed one guy. We got out of the Iranian nuclear agreement. We cut their money off. They were the weakest they've been. Now they're the strongest and most provocative. Admiral, here's what we need to do. You need to hit something the Ayatollah values. His leadership team, like a Soleimani, or take him out of the oil business. If we hit their oil infrastructure, you don't need manned aircraft. They've got 4 refineries you can see from space. If you knock one of them out, they would stop this. Our American troops are in harm's way. If the goal is to deter Iran, you're failing miserably. If the goal is to protect American troops, you're not achieving your goal. If you've convinced Iran we don't want a wider war, they believe you. Oh, I don't want a war with you. They got the message. What they're not afraid of us. They were afraid of Trump. They're not afraid of us. Iran is trying to drive us out of the Mideast, and the response we're giving is inadequate to the task. They do not believe or fear that we will hit what matters most to them, their oil infrastructure or their leadership.
Okay.
And Graham didn't limit his criticism of Biden's foreign policy to America's response to the drone strike that killed the 3 U.S. troops in Jordan last weekend. He said that Biden's 2021 withdrawal from the war in Afghanistan had emboldened our adversaries, resulting in the Taliban taking over Afghanistan, Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, Hamas's October attack on Israel, and Americans killed by Iran proxies this year. And the list goes on. And you know, Senator Graham is right on that. They don't fear us. They don't fear Joe Biden. So they'll continue to murder, to slaughter innocent people, knowing that Joe Biden most likely will not retaliate. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. I'd love to get your feedback. Do you agree with Senator Graham that America is not feared? That these terrorists do not fear that or do not believe that Joe Biden will make them pay the price? You can call and leave a voice message as well. 864-477-5639. Your emails are welcome. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Nikki Haley's appearance on Saturday Night Live has sparked a backlash on social media. Did you see it? Did you stay up? I can't remember the last time that I've watched Saturday Night Live. I pretty much can't stay up that late, or don't care to stay up that late, I guess I should say. Portions of today's show made possible by our friends at Firmin Ford. Firmin Ford is a locally owned dealership. You can call, you can text, you can email, you can drop by. And you'll always have access to a member of the Firmin family. Matthew Firmin, Jim Firmin, they're always around to help you out. And we need to support our local businesses more now than ever. Just take a look around. Corporations have never been more powerful. New technologies like AI are changing the game even more. That's why we need to support our local businesses. If you're looking for a new vehicle, or maybe you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle that you can trust, look no further. Take the short drive to Lawrence to Firmin Ford. And you'll know your money stays right here in the upstate community when you drive off the lot. Firmin Ford. Find them online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Former Governor Nikki Haley made a cameo appearance during Saturday Night Live's Cold Open as a, quote, concerned South Carolina voter wanting to ask Donald Trump, who was played by James Austin Johnson, and I'll have to say he does a pretty good job of imitating Donald Trump. She wanted to ask a question during a parody CNN town hall. At least they got that right, because a CNN GOP town hall is a parody, believe me. The supposed, quote, concerned citizen from South Carolina, who was played by Haly herself, asked the Trump character, "Why won't you debate Nikki Haley?"
Okay, our next question comes from someone who describes herself as a concerned South Carolina voter.
Yes, hello. My question is, why won't you debate Nikki Haley?
Oh, my God, it's her, the woman who was in charge of security on January 6th. It's Nancy Pelosi.
For the 100th time, that is not Nancy Pelosi. It is Nikki Haley.
Are you doing okay, Donald? You might need a mental competency test.
You know what I did? I took the test and I aced it, okay? Perfect score. They said I'm 100% mental. And, I'm competent because I'm a man. That's why a woman should never run our economy. Women are terrible with money. In fact, a woman I know recently asked me for $83.3 million.
And you've spent $50 million in your own legal fees. Do you need to borrow some money?
Oh, Nikki, don't do this, Nikki. Nikki Tiki Tommy. Nikki, don't lose that number. Nikki Haley, Joel Osment. Nikki Haley, Joel Osment, we call her. 6 cents. Remember that one? I see dead people.
Yeah, that's what voters will say if they see you and Joe on the ballot.
Oh, that's not very nice, Nikki. It's not nice. And I'm always very nice to you, except when I'm implying you weren't born in this country. Even though you're from South Carolina, and now I'm going to beat you in your state.
And did you win your home state in the last election?
I won Staten Island. And the parts of Long Island where the fist fights happen, where they get out of the cars if you honk at them. I love my World Star whites.
All right, well, that is a new one on me. Okay, we have time for one more question, and it's actually for Ambassador Haley.
This is a young black female asking the question.
I was just curious, what would you say was the main cause of the Civil War? And do you think it starts with an S and ends with a lavery?
Yep, I probably should have said that the first time. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
And there you have it, Nikki Haley's Saturday Night Live debut. As you heard, Haley's cameo ended with her being confronted over not identifying slavery as the cause of the Civil War on the campaign trail. This was back during a town hall in December. She said the war was about how government was going to run and what people could and couldn't do. Following Haley's appearance, many took to social media, bashing Saturday Night Live for giving her screen time. Author Majed Padelin wrote, Nikki Haley will only ever diss Trump on a comedy show, and WTF is slavery denier doing on SNL anyway. Disgraceful. Aidan Kahn Murphy, founder of Generation Z for Change, wrote, Nikki, there is no winking in our unabashed hatred for you. Your failure to identify slavery as the cause of the Civil War was not a gaffe. It was representative of your racist beliefs. Gross stuff from Saturday Night Live. Chris Williamson, a sportscaster, wrote, SNL inviting Nikki Haley during any month is egregious, but doing it during the 4th day of Black History Month and left it blank. Others pointed to Saturday Night Live's a record of cameos from politicians. They reminded everyone that Trump had actually hosted the show in 2015 while running for president, which sparked protests then. Activist Charlotte Clymer wrote on X, Saturday Night Live sure does have a long track record of comedy washing hateful conservatives. Did you see it? What do you think about it? 864-477-JOEY. 864-477-5639 is the Firmin Ford text line. Love to get your comments, your feedback on Nikki Haley's debut in prime time. Of course, that's not exactly prime time, is it? Saturday Night Live. On the Firmin Ford text line, texter writes, Biden and the Dems are the ones dragging us to the dark ages. This is 2024, and the talk is about shortages of electricity. Prices are out the roof. And no longer is home ownership the American dream. Mr. Biden, you owe each American the decency by getting the heck out of Dodge yesterday and take your party with you. Christy writes, I think immigration is top priority. If we didn't have to fund all these illegal immigrants, our economy would not suffer so much. Texter writes, Colorado's ruling is just another way to control an election and to tell people who they're not going to vote for. Ace writes, Joey, on the subject of Georgia polls, anyone that believes that Joe Biden is a better candidate for anything other than eating ice cream are either a USA hater or completely stupid. Now, Ace, you shouldn't be calling people stupid. Nana Hudson wouldn't like that. He says, I mean so stupid that they probably forget how to breathe sometimes. Just on cognitive behavior alone, Joe Biden should be banned from running again. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie or ignorance. The old man needs to be in a nursing home eating tapioca pudding. Okay, Ace. Patty says, Joey, let's charge that fee to become a South Carolina resident. Many of you have commented on the a text that I received on Friday asking about a fee, and I still haven't had a chance to look into it. I will, though. Katrina agrees with Patty, saying, Joey, the new resident fees in South Carolina are not new, but they want to expand them. Oh, okay. Katrina says that when she and her husband Ron moved here in 2020, they had to pay $250 plus registration for each vehicle, no matter the age that they brought with them. Oh, I see. You're talking about the vehicle registration fee. Okay. She says it was the one bummer about moving to South Carolina. Of course, it is additionally annoying because it is labeled road infrastructure tax, and you'd think with the high influx of new residents, that would be enough money to fix the roads. But we still have potholes, and now the penny tax that is supposed to be the remedy. I won't hold my breath. Please don't, Katrina, because you've been here since 2020. I've been here my entire life, and we've been adding a penny here and a penny there and other taxes along the way and fees to fix the roads, and we've never been able to get caught up. Pete writes on the Firmin Ford text line, over the weekend, the South Carolina Society of the Children of the American Revolution held their 80-state convention and elected a new president, my daughter, Kelly. Well, congratulations, Kelly. Good for you. He says she'll be sworn in at the tomb of George and Martha Washington at Mount Vernon in April. Her project is called Forgotten Soldier No More. It will bring to light the contribution of Colonel John McClure for the cause of liberty and have markers dedicated at the Hanging Rock battlefield, among others. And he says if you know any folks that would like to donate, let him know. More info closer to April. We'll look forward to hearing about that, Pete. Susan says 3 weeks from today, when the winner-take-all South Carolina primary results are in and Trump has won all 50 delegates, Nikki Haley will still be stuck at 17. She isn't participating in Thursday's Nevada caucuses, which will award the 36 delegates on a proportional basis. If Trump gets enough caucus votes to win them all, after the South Carolina primary, he'll have 108 to her measly 17. I wonder if she'll still be bragging about them then. 864-477-5639 is the Firmin Ford text line. Your comments are welcome. And you can leave me a quick voice message. Emails are welcome as well. Joey at joeyhudson.com. One final one. Hey, Joey, it's Jennifer. I didn't cheat on your Thursday question that you kept us in suspense about until the end of Friday's episode. Ha ha. I knew I should have known it, that it was Newt Gingrich who won the 2012 South Carolina Republican presidential primary, but not until you answered the question did I remember that I attended the Myrtle Beach Convention Center Republican primary debate that year with Newt, Rick Perry, Ron Paul, Rick Santorum, and Mitt Romney. I'll bet you and Mike were there too. I remember Brett Baer, Fox News, was there, probably moderating because he literally ran right into me in the hallway, rushing to make a live report on Fox, I presume. It was an exciting and interesting evening, and I was pulling hard for Newt, appearing to me to be the most qualified candidate on stage. I remember that evening very well, Jennifer. And yes, that was fun. Several of you have commented on our little quiz with Newt. And some of you didn't really know. You used Google. I know you did. Did Donald Trump give us a hint on who may be his 2024 running mate? The president was on Fox News Sunday, and he mentioned a couple of names. You think we may know? You think one of those two names might be his running mate? Portions of today's show made possible by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. If you're replacing a broken appliance, or maybe you just are upgrading. Maybe you're remodeling the kitchen and you need all new appliances. When you want your appliances, you want them then, don't you? You don't want to have to wait weeks or months. And when you shop it with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, there's never any shipping or supply issues. It's real simple. You go to their 11,000 square foot warehouse in Pickens. You walk through. They have over 1,500 appliances in stock. You buy it today. Quite often, they'll get it delivered today. They have an award-winning service department, extended warranties. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they have you covered well after the sale because you're more than just a credit card swipe to Jeff and the whole team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They're the only, they're very proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor for up to 7 years. Check them out. You can find them online at dawpickens.com. dawpickens.com. Former President Trump revealed his criteria for a running mate yesterday. He told Fox News host Maria Bartiromo that he won't announce a vice presidential pick for a little while, he said. Trump made the comments in an interview with Bartiromo that aired on Sunday Morning Futures. He said that the most important factor is to ensure his running mate would be able to step up and handle the presidency in the case of an emergency. Bartiromo asked, what criteria are you using to identify who your running mate is? Trump says, always it's got to be who is going to be a good president. Obviously, you always have to think that because of an emergency. Things happen, right? No matter who you are, things happen. That's got to be number one, he said. The former president said that he had called South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, and he said, people like Tim Scott, and I said, you're a much better candidate for me than you are for yourself when he called him. He said, when I watched him, he was fine. He was good, but he was very low-key. He said, I watched him in the last week defending me and sticking up for me and fighting for me. I said, man, you're a much better person for me than you were for yourself. And you know, Tim Scott, he was pretty fiery last week in New Hampshire when he was at the Trump victory party. Trump went on to praise South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem as well, noting that she said publicly that she would never run against him because I could never beat him, she said. Trump has denied reports that his campaign has reached out to independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to explore a potential ticket with him early on in the campaign. Trump said the interaction never happened. So there's two names for you, Kristi Noem, Tim Scott. Tell me who you think might be the better candidate. Send me a quick note on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Is it Tim Scott or is it Kristi Noem? I'd love to hear from you. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio to lose weight for the last time. Visit myphd weightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails. I don't bombard you. It's just a few along the way as needed, the important stuff. Also, find me on YouTube. Just search for Joey Hudson. If you can't find me, send me a quick text. I'll send you a link to my YouTube channel. Appreciate you being with me today. We're back again tomorrow. Keep those comments coming on the Firmin Ford text line. Keep those emails coming as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control.